I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 4 of Taskmaster series 18, and this I think was another really strong episode. And as usual we are starting with the prize task, and this time it was to bring in the most badass thing, or the thing that would make Greg say, oh now that's badass, which I absolutely loved the phrasing of it. I love this prize task, I think it was a really good category, and I thought that the prizes that people brought in were really fun as well. So starting off with Emma, and she brought in a cherub with like sunglasses on, like in a fun pose, and I thought this was really fun. I thought it was really silly, and yeah, I just really liked it, and it's kind of turning something cute and making it a bit edgy, and I think it fits the category of badass, and I don't think it deserved the hate that Greg gave it. I thought it was really fun. I genuinely liked this, and it would be something that I wouldn't say no to having in my house. And yeah, so I loved this one, and you can kind of see Alex was a little bit shocked by how hard Greg was going in on this one. But yeah, I thought it was really nice. Next up, we had Baba bringing in a pair of white Air Force Ones, and I definitely understand where he's going with this, but I think as a prize and by themselves, they don't really fit the category that well. I just think you don't look at the shoes themselves and think that they're badass. It's like just what the people wearing them, or the type of people who wear them, or something that can just like elevate your look. But the actual things themselves I don't think fit the category that well. I did think it was a little bit low effort as well. But yeah, so I definitely agree with Greg's scoring on this one. Next up we had Rosie, and she actually brought in a really good prize. Well, it was a good funny story. The actual prize itself, not amazing. This was a tattoo, and I definitely think that this fits the category, at least for a lot of people, and like kind of the view of tattoos at least once were that they were kind of a more like edgy thing. Her tattoo said I killed a man, which is definitely badass, so that I think fit the category excellently. Whether or not it's a great prize, just a tattoo, is up for debate, but I think the effort that she went to was a bit greater than Baba and, as I'll talk about later, Jack. So I really like this, and then the additional thing of having that promise that if she doesn't score highly then she'll do it again. I thought it was delivered amazingly. I thought it was really funny. So that, combined with like a more inventive prize task and a more creative one, definitely deserves to score highly in my opinion. As I mentioned, I thought Jack's was a pretty low effort one as well, and that this was like a tracksuit and cap from TK Maxx. I liked his story about it being linked to a rap. I thought it was quite funny, but the actual prize itself, not that amazing, and I don't think, again, just the actual clothing looks particularly badass. I definitely understand where he's going with it, but again, just a bit low effort, and I just don't think worked that effectively. And last but definitely not least, we had Andy, who brought in an amazing painting that he did. Again, I just love his like punny prize tasks. I think they're so good. So this was a picture of a donkey behind bars, a very badly drawn ass behind bars, and I thought it was just really funny. I thought the painting was quite good but also bad at the same time. So yeah, I really like this. There's a lot more effort that went into this one than with everybody else's. So yeah, it definitely deserves 5 points. It's funny, fits the category, and it's something that's creative. So yeah, this is definitely a win in my books. I agree with Greg scoring Rosie 4 points, but personally I would have given Emma 1 more than Baba and Jack. Just in my opinion, I thought hers was a bit better than those two. But I also really liked Alex reminding Greg of Baba's shoes when Greg was debating scoring Emma's and Jack's 2 points, because I 100% agree, if Emma's getting 2 points then Baba's was definitely deserving of 2 points as well. But I absolutely loved the way Alex did that, and was kind of getting involved with the scoring a bit more. So yeah, that was really fun. The first proper task of this episode was to push the envelope the furthest. And like Rosie, I had never heard this phrase before, so I think if it was me doing this task, I would have literally pushed the envelope the furthest, like physically pushed it, because yeah, as I said, I hadn't heard this phrase, so unless Alex told people what the phrase meant in the task, then yeah, I wouldn't have known that it meant to like push the boundaries of something, or you know. So yeah, not what I would have done at all, so I was a bit confused going into it, but a quick Google search helped me understand what they were supposed to be doing. As Greg and Alex pointed out, that it was really funny how like loads of people went to really dirty things when they heard the phrase push the envelope, like Rosie thinking it meant something dirty, and then Baba talking about his balls on a pillow. Just really funny and just so unnecessary, but I absolutely loved it. It was so funny. So starting off with Emma and Rosie, Emma just did a bunch of cartwheels and then put a letter on Greg, which I don't think really like pushed the boundaries, but I guess you could argue that she physically pushed the envelope. So in that sense, maybe she could have gotten a few more points. But yeah, it wasn't the most elegant. She dropped her hat and then like kind of fell into Greg, but I thought it was really funny. The cartwheels were funny, and I think the letter that she made was very polite, and I loved how kind of like embarrassed and scared she was about what she could have wrote. She forgot about it. So all of that was really funny. But yeah, I just don't think her attempt at this task was great, especially because she's often, I found, quite inventive with her thinking and has these like crazy ideas. I would have thought that she would have been the strongest one at this task, or at least one of the strongest, and to have her just kind of do something quite basic and low effort, I was quite surprised. Rosie, I think, had a good idea to like push the envelope through her body, which I thought was inventive and like a different way of thinking about it. So this was that she blended the envelope into a smoothie and then drank the smoothie. I love that they made her blend it, like they just didn't let her eat the envelope by itself, like just as paper. I'm sure other people have eaten paper before in previous tasks, so maybe there's a few more health and safety rules now. But yeah, I thought this was quite a good attempt. Like, as she said, she pushed it through her gullet and eventually would have pushed it out somewhere else. So this, I think, did fit the description of the task. And yeah, it was a bit more like out there and unusual for somebody to do. Jack's attempt is definitely more similar to something that I would have done. So he started out like pushing the envelope with like an oar or something, or a brush or whatever it was. So pushing that around, just getting distance. And then when that wasn't really working for him, he put it in a wheelbarrow and then went for a lovely walk. And I loved that when the contestants kind of like leave the house and go different ways, we kind of see a bit more of the surroundings. So we've seen like the road that the house leads onto and like the park, and we actually could see the tree wizard tree, I think, in the background, and then the point where they played charades like over the river in series 3. So I liked the little kind of throwbacks to previous series. That was really fun. And as Greg said, it was quite emotional. I don't think I found it as emotional as Greg did, so I'm not sure if I would have scored it 5 points, but I really enjoyed it, and he did physically push it the furthest. He pushed it 3 miles, which I thought was quite impressive, and as they said, like, he went further than he was supposed to because he kind of went over the time limit and the crew didn't catch up to him. So I thought all of that was really funny and just kind of showed him having a nice walk, and it looked really nice. Baba decided to use his envelope as a bowl for cereal, which again I don't really think is pushing the boundaries, but I was quite surprised that it did manage to hold the milk and the cereal without like disintegrating and leaking it everywhere. So that was quite surprising. And I loved getting Alex involved. I always love when Alex gets involved in these. And he fed Alex the cereal from it because he is lactose intolerant, I think, so couldn't physically eat the cereal himself. But yeah, the whole interaction with him being like, oh, it's nice, isn't it? Like, to Alex, and realising that he also does that to his child as well. So yeah, all of that was really funny. And finally, we had Andy, and I think Andy's was my favourite one. And yeah, I probably would swap his scoring with Jack's scoring. I thought Andy's was just really creative, and he went for the approach of pushing the envelope to its limits through like torture and interrogation, using all of these like horrible interrogation tactics, like shredding paper in front of him and electrocuting him. So all of this I thought was really good. As I said, I thought it was really creative. It was really fun to watch. So this would have scored very highly in my opinion. At least I think this one should have got 5 points. I just think that he went to a lot of effort with this and to kind of think about different ways that how you would perhaps like scare the envelope. So that was really fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and yeah, 5 points for me for this one. Overall, this was a fun task. I don't think it was perhaps the best task that they've done. It did kind of force the contestants to think a bit creatively and do something a bit different that they wouldn't normally think of. But yeah, I think some of the attempts weren't as kind of shocking or amazing as what they perhaps sort of thought when coming up with this task of having something that pushes the boundaries of something, and then we ended up having somebody drink a smoothie, somebody eating milk out of it, and somebody doing cartwheels. Like, we just didn't really get, I think, what they were expecting. So overall, Greg scored this 1 point to Emma, 2 points for Baba, 3 to Rosie, 4 to Andy and 5 to Jack, and I agree with everything apart from swapping Andy and Jack around. The next task was another location task, and this was in the Scare Maze in Thorpe Park, which I thought was a really fun location. It's really creepy. It doesn't really fit with like the nautical theme that they've got going on in the house, but I really enjoyed it nonetheless. So this task was to take a bite out of Alex's carrot, and Alex was running around the maze, well, walking gently throughout the maze, which we'll get onto in a bit, was walking throughout the maze, and there was somebody else and they were swapping bells and confusing the contestants. So I thought this was a really fun task. I liked it a lot. I thought it was something they haven't really done too much before, and I liked the location. The maze looked really creepy. There was also that rule of having to laugh continuously throughout the task, which I thought made it even creepier, so I loved that. And yeah, as I said, the swapping of the bells was really sneaky, and I liked that trick. I thought it was really good. This task was made more interesting by the fact that Bubba decided to wear his hot dog costume, and it is confirmed that everybody will be wearing a hot dog costume, so it's not different for everybody else. So yeah, that kind of confirms that. So it was nice to see somebody else don the hot dog costume. And yeah, so this means that Baba's points would be doubled in this task. So yeah, I do think he chose quite a good one to use his hot dog Joker card for, because it was one that's kind of like revolving around speed. You don't have like the creative points, and Greg just kind of feeling like he prefers something else, like it's an objective scoring, so he just has to be quick, and he was perhaps too quick in my opinion, which I will talk about at the end of this like task discussion. The other rule on this was that they had to walk at a gentle pace, which I think was introduced because obviously a speed task would perhaps be unfair on Rosie, who has more limited like mobility, so can't walk as fast as everybody else. So I do think that rule was put in place for a reason, and for a good reason. We did start off the task with Rosie and Jack together. Again, I thought this pairing was really good, just the contrast between them, Rosie being really gleeful and Jack just kind of wandering around the maze with his hands in his pocket. I just thought it contrasted really, really well. Neither of them, I don't think, had a particular tactic. They just kind of went into it, and I think they both did it quite quickly. I thought 3 minutes was quite, well, 3 to 4 minutes was quite quick and quite efficient for both of them. Considering that they went into it blind, they didn't really know, and they followed that rule of walking quite slowly or gently paced, whatever it was. Rosie managed to spot Alex from across like the room, so was able to follow him more accurately rather than getting mixed up with him and the other person walking around the maze. And Jack just happened to bite the wrong carrot, so then realised there was another person in the maze. I don't think either of them picked up on the bells too quickly and that they were swapping the bells. But yeah, as I said, Jack managed to find the other person and realised that he could kind of not follow him and kind of pick up on following on the real Alex, which I think worked quite well. Just having that confirmation that there is somebody else in the maze as well would just help with your confusion, and yeah, so I think that worked in his favour. But as a viewer of this task, I thought it was really entertaining seeing them get confused and tricked by Alex, and we kind of finding out all the different intricacies of this maze and the doors that close, the bits that you can crawl under, and the different person there swapping the bells. Like, we were kind of learning more about this task as it went on, which I thought was really entertaining. We then saw Emma attempt this task, and unfortunately she wasn't as successful as Jack and Rosie were, but this is mainly, I think, due to the fact that she walked too slowly. Like, when I was watching it, I was thinking that she was walking like way too slowly. Like, she was deliberately walking slowly rather than doing like a gentle pace, which I think just kind of like, it's just like an average speed. You're not running, you're not like fast walking, you're just kind of walking at your average speed, or at least like around that, whereas she was walking like really slowly. But I absolutely loved her attempt at this. I definitely think it was the most entertaining. There were so many fun moments when she got scared by Alex's doppelganger, when she switched from ha 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 laughing to he he laughing, just really funny. And the fact that she realised that there was somebody else there, realised that they kept swapping bells, but then seemed to keep following the wrong person, was just really unfortunately funny. I thought it was really entertaining. But it was just like every single time she would miss Alex and start following the wrong person. So yeah, very entertaining, but unfortunately made Emma lose this task, only getting 1 point. She did seem absolutely fed up by this at the end, like shutting Alex down when he was trying to like mess with her about there not being another person there. So I was quite surprised that her time was around 8 minutes. I was expecting it to be a lot higher, judging by like how fed up she was at the end of her attempt. So yeah, I don't even think 8 minutes is that bad, but I guess going through like a scary maze would make time feel longer, in my opinion. As Alex pointed out, she walked the same distance as Jack and Rosie did, which is just madness. Then we had Andy and Baba paired together, and there's not really much to say about Andy's attempt. I think he did really, really well. Like, he just did what Rosie and Jack did, but just a bit quicker. So yeah, he just did very, very well. But Baba, on the other hand, I think should have been disqualified. It's a shame that it would have been on his double point task, but I think he blatantly cheated. Like, he ran when the task explicitly said that you had to walk at a gentle pace. So I'm absolutely baffled that this wasn't brought up by Alex in the studio. Greg didn't mention it, and none of the other contestants mentioned it either. I thought Andy definitely would have mentioned it, because it was very, very obvious that he was running. It was my first thing that I thought about when I was watching his attempt. I was like, oh, he's running, oh my god, he's going to get disqualified. But he didn't, which I just think is crazy. Like, it was such a clear rule, and as I said, it was a rule that was in place for a very valid reason. And I do think that they would have picked up on that. I think it's so weird they didn't, because they always I feel like Taskmaster loves taking away points from somebody that has done really well in a task. I mean, like Potato Gate, for God's sake. Like, it was so funny, but also so heartbreaking at the same time. And Taskmaster has loads of those moments where they let somebody believe that they're winning and then take it away from them. And I was 100% expecting them to do that, and I'm very surprised that they didn't. But yeah, what do you guys think? Should he have been disqualified? Or do you think he should have got the 10 points? Which I just think is crazy. It would have been really sad for him to get 0 points and lose his hot dog double points, but he definitely should have been disqualified, in my opinion. The next task in this episode was to pick the locket from Alex's pocket, and I like that this linked back to the put the rocket in your pocket task we saw in episode 2. I can't remember now. They had to high-five Alex every time they got it wrong. They had 15 minutes total, and it was the fewest pockets picked won. I thought this task was quite fun. Again, I don't really think there's that many tactics you can really have on this one, apart from either picking loads of pockets or figuring out the loophole on this. So yeah, I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't have realised that it was in my pocket and not one of Alex's. We saw the no tactic approach with Jack and Baba. Jack was just picking out all the pockets. He picked 70, which is crazy. But I do think he wasn't really thinking about the objects that much. As soon as him and Baba both picked out the compass that had their name on it, that's when it clicked for me that it would be in their pockets, or that it could be in their pockets, or there could be a clue as to which one it was. I just knew it had something to do with being on them rather than being on Alex. I think there was the letter U, there was a picture of their faces in there as well, so there's lots of clues as to point you towards yourself. And Andy later picked out the red herring, so I definitely feel like that was a clue as well, showing that Alex and all these pockets are the red herrings, and that you should look somewhere else. But I am grateful for Jack and Baba not really thinking about it and just picking loads of pockets, because it was really entertaining to see all the different things that they had in his pockets and all the rockets that were in the pockets as well. I loved how that infuriated them both. That was just a really funny touch. I loved Jack putting on the little goggly eyes on his glasses. That was just really fun. But both of them eventually were able to finish the task because they found the note saying that the locket was in their pocket. But just imagine if you found that one on your first try. You picked that one first try. That would have just been really good. But yeah, Baba hit quite a few, but Jack's 70 pockets is just crazy. Rosie had a really good approach, I think, for this one. So she was quite lucky that she picked the don't trust the sound people makeup artist pocket quite early on, and that then directed her attention away from Alex and onto the sound people. I thought her taking the money from the sound people was just really funny, and I liked how she played along with the fact that they shouldn't be trusted. It was just all very, very funny. But then by picking their pockets, she realised it could be on her. So I thought that was a really good logic that she had, and I thought it worked. Obviously it worked really well in her favour because she ended up doing this the second fastest. But yeah, as soon as her attention was directed away from Alex, I knew she had this one in the bag. And then Andy, complete opposite, did not find the locket. He tried to think of loopholes, which I don't think is a bad idea. I just thought of all the loopholes he tried to think of were bad ideas. That weird wooden thing that he found, trying to pass that off as a locket, not very good. What was he? I found a pineapple and a string, can that be a locket? He was failing in finding things that could be lockets, and also failing on that requirement that it had to be in a pocket as well, like he had to pick it from a pocket. I thought his joke about finding a pack of lockets in snooker pocket thing was very, very funny. I liked that. It was very punny, and I can tell he definitely loves his puns, which I do as well. But he was so close to finding it, like patting down his pockets like multiple times. I was gutted for him that when he didn't find it, and I assume never found it, like nobody found it in his pockets. It would have been really funny if later on he had found it in his pocket, like in the middle of another task, or just later on while in his dressing room or something. Like that would have been really funny, but by the sounds of it he did not find it at all, so who knows where that's gone. And then we had Emma, and Emma knew this was in her pocket before she even entered the lab, which I thought was amazing, especially because she's dressed as a detective, to be able to walk in. She just kind of walked around, thought about it, she's like, I'm going to think about this for a second, and then pulled the locket out of her pocket. Just fantastic, dressed as a detective no less. So yeah, this was just amazing. And I think if it was me as well, I would have noticed if something was in my pocket. I just feel like I would have done. But I thought she played this really well, figuring it out before the task started that there was something unusual going on, and just going with it, just not questioning it. It's like it will come up when it comes up. And yeah, so I thought that was really good, and yeah, just the reveal of it was so funny. And then onto this studio task, and this studio task is a bit unfortunate, but this was to gather a herd of animals on your side of the stage. And I was a bit confused about how this would work at the start, but once it happened, I realised what the rules were. So they had to throw over one animal each turn to the opposing team's side, and they also throwed one over at the same time. So you had to work out like which one's a good one to get rid of, and potential ones that you could get, and make sure that it adds up to 22. I loved the inclusion of Potatoes again, it's always lovely to see him. But as we saw in this task, it was ended very quickly by the fact that the team of 2 threw 3 legs across, and the team of 3 threw 2 legs, which meant that the team of 3 immediately got 22 legs on their side. So yeah, they immediately won, and yeah, studio was over. Again, this was another winner takes all, which if you've watched my previous reviews, you all know that I'm not a fan of winner takes all, especially in the studio. So the team of 3 all got 5 points and the team of 2 got 0. Like, it's just madness. I just definitely think that the points distribution should be a bit fairer. I don't like winner takes all because I think all the effort, well, I mean, in this case, neither team put in that much effort, but a lot of the time the contestants are putting in a lot of effort to then get no points, even if like they are doing the task properly. Like, I just don't think it's the fairest way of scoring the tasks. It's a shame that this one didn't last as long as it could have done, because I thought it seemed like a really fun task and not one that we've really had before. So yeah, it's a shame that we didn't get to see like a proper game of it, because I think it would have been quite fun. But this means that Baba wins an episode, which is not surprising considering he got 10 points from one task. But this does mean we have had a different person win each episode. So maybe episode 5 will be Emma's win. But yeah, I don't think we've ever had that before. I think that's really fun. It just shows kind of like how equal all the scorings are. So yeah, this was another pretty good episode in my opinion. I definitely think there'll be a lot of arguing about whether or not Baba deserved to have the points taken away for him in the Scare Maze task. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, it really helps the channel, and a comment down below your thoughts on this episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Thoughts on if he should have got disqualified? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with Taskmaster. I'll have some more out for you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!